In many psychological self-help books that are dedicated to helping you overcome the fear of speaking in public, tell you that first, you should figure out the exact reason why you feel shy. They ask you, for example, whether you get shy in front of strangers or when you're trying out a new skill that you haven't mastered yet, like a new language. In some of these books, they recommend that you try to identify the thoughts that pass through your head just before you become paralyzed with shyness. And that once you discover the reasons, you tell yourself, I can do it, or something else that helps you overcome this insecurity. However, as I found with my students, although the techniques suggested by these self-help books can be very useful indeed, in reality, when the time comes to speak a language that is not yours, there are other variables that can condition us towards self-confidence, which we can call idiomatic variables. Idiomatic variables are the imperfections specifically related to language that explain one's hesitation when it comes to time to express himself in English. And these often have to do with many factors. And those that seem most relevant are, for example, a lack of vocabulary. Simply that you don't have the necessary vocabulary to express yourself as you would in your native tongue. The second could be problems with pronunciation. You are scared of pronouncing a word wrong and making a fool of yourself. For example, if you confuse the long sound E sound in shade with the short E sound in shit, it would create one of those situations in which you wish the earth would just swallow you whole. The next reason could be maybe ignorance of English grammar and syntax. If you confuse the verbal forms or the order of the words in English, it might happen that no one understands you, or that they understand the opposite of what you wanted to say. But guys, how do you overcome this fear? First and foremost, you will overcome all of your fear just by practicing the language, even though there are some tricks that can help us to overcome embarrassment more quickly when speaking English. First, I recommend you that don't establish overly difficult goals. By this I mean concentrate on small challenges. Set yourself a daily goal. For example, today I will learn to pronounce 5 regular verbs in the past tense. And pronounce these 5 words in front of the mirror. Little by little, increase your audacity and challenge yourself to pronounce those verbs in front of someone you know. And later, you can just dive in and use these 5 words with a stranger in a class, for example. Because you will master your pronunciation, and that will create the necessary confidence and the motivation that required to continue learning. When you have to speak English, guys, you feel immensely embarrassed. Then you should smile and maintain eye contact with the person. And usually people do it. Why? Because a simple smile to a stranger can make you forget about constructing sentences in English and help you focus on the content of the conversation. Because your smile is actually a content. If you are in the middle of the conversation and you wanted to say a word in English that maybe you don't remember or you don't know, then rephrase the sentence. For example, if you want to say, I bought a chair, but you don't remember the word chair, you can try to describe what chair is, like a piece of furniture that you sit on, you know. If you don't know how to say a furniture, rephrase or paraphrase the sentence over and over again until you are able to describe what you wanted to. Even if it takes, you 2 hours to say, I bought a chair. The important thing is that you can express yourself so that they understand you better. Next point is that don't try to translate literally what you think in your native tongue. to English. This doesn't work, guys. Furthermore, imagine the valuable time you waste between thinking in sentence in your native tongue and then translate it to English, thinking how to pronounce each word, and finally verbalizing it. You should think directly in English, not translate from your mother tongue. In order to start thinking in English, try to always use simple construction. By this I mean, instead of trying to say blurt out, like say all at once. For example, what I want most is for Anna, who's married to my cousin, the one that lives in the outside of the London, to come visit me once in a while. You just can say, I'd like to see Anne. Once you've gained confidence and linguistic skills, you can then take a big risk and try form more complex sentences. The most important, as I told you guys above, and I will repeat it 1,000 more times, is that you be able to express yourself so that people understand you. And the more that you compare yourself with the others, and the more you will feel that you are not as good, and the more intimidated that you will feel, which is totally counterproductive, because your embarrassment will only increase. Instead of comparing yourself to the others, like compare yourself of now with yourself of the past. Compare that which you knew before and that which you know now. The mistakes that you made in the past and you don't make anymore. The words that you've learned to pronounce well, or the new vocabulary that you've acquired in a certain amount of time. This comparison will be fruitful because it will inspire you to obtain more confidence in yourself, and above all, the motivation necessary to continue improving. Another important thing that I want to specifically highlight is speak out loud. This part is highly related to the part before. Practice, 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 but always out loud. When you read a book, read an entire chapter out loud, or 2 pages, whatever. Sing out loud in front of the mirror so that you can see how you move your articulation organs like lips, tongues, and etc. Pronounce certain sounds in English. And you can create a dialogue with yourself in front of the mirror. Speak to yourself, answer yourself, dispute the answer, convince yourself, scold yourself, lecture yourself, and then say goodbye. If you can, record this conversation to listen it later maybe and assess yourself to see what you need to improve. Or give the recording to someone that you trust so that they can correct you. But make sure that, guys, when you speak to yourself, that make sure that you are home alone. If you don't want them to come looking for you with a straight jacket, let's say. But don't worry so much about whether you make mistakes when speaking English. Because, guys, mistakes are essential part of the process of learning a foreign language. Remember that many native English speakers, they don't speak another language. So the fact that you are able to speak a second language, and pretty well for the time being, and it says everything. Every day, every single day, me and you too feel proud of your improvements in the English language. And don't always think the worst of the people, The truth is that the most people appreciate your efforts to communicate in their language. They already know that you are learning and you weren't born in London. And in fact, many native English speakers will respond to you with a positive attitude. And will even help you to speak English well by maybe correcting your mistakes, or by finding the words that you have on the tip of your tongue. You will always find the rude people, and those that want to ridicule you. But the problem is that these people are insolent by nature. Their attitude does not have anything to do with you. Forget them and concentrate on what really matters learning English. What's the worst that can happen if you mistake the syntax or if you don't know the word in English. I mean, nothing. Nothing, guys. So don't try to control every situation. Go with the flow. Let your hair down. Just speak. Don't listen to yourself, like, don't analyze, let's say, your own words while you are still saying them. Don't try to plan what you are going to say beforehand. They say that, the students that don't worry so much about their mistakes, they learn much faster than these that overanalyze themselves. So guys, follow the rules. But don't go too far. Forget your big ego. What does it matter is that someone thinks you are coos. Do you really care about what the strangers think of you? Strangers will definitely be more worried about what you think of them. But you don't. Remember, guys, that trying to control the situation in which you are speaking a language that is not yours is totally ridiculous. Control is a fantasy, an illusion. Accept and welcome chaos and learn to live with it and enjoy the imbalance. You will see that little by little, with resolve and motivation, you will improve. You don't need to criticize yourself because you've mistaken a verb again. Just keep practicing and you will see that in the end, you will reap what you've sown. Don't be embarrassed to speak English. Just be confident.